welcome to the Irish Arsenal GOONER podcast. It's Tuesday, the 12th of April. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. I'm joined by my regular guests at this stage, John Media, Martin Stumble, and Eamon Donnelly. How are you, lads?
Evening, Johnny.
Good evening.
Evening, everybody. I was expecting Lurden on the show. Great full back there. The best I've seen since Paul Reaney there. I was getting to the pitch of it.
Unfortunately, Lauren can't make this week. She says she has a flu, so
there.
I'm sure it's an excuse, but hopefully she'll be back on the show next Tuesday. It's good to have Eamon back as always. Before we start the show, you can catch our show as always on SoundCloud, Spotify, and also now on ACAST.com. You can go to play.acast.com and just search our show, Irish Arsenal GOONER podcast, in the search bar, and you catch us there as well. Another platform to find us on, and also, of course, on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel as well. Before we kick on, Martin, how many views did we get last week? I think it was around 50 again, wasn't it?
Yeah, around 50. Again, as I said, slowly ticking over. But, whatever happened on the pitch, is not making the interest a lot better, I have to say. So,
I'm sure looking at our
misery is
ugly
never
faces
great.
is a good way to make up for it.
It is, yeah. But look,
we're building slowly. Yeah,
that's
amazing.
All right.
Yeah, and of course, thanks to Martin for having us up on the Arsenal YouTube channel every week. It's much appreciated. On this week's show, we'll be reviewing our 2-1 home loss to Brighton. We'll also be previewing Saturday's 3 o'clock kickoff away to Southampton. That's live on Premiersports 2 this weekend, so something to watch over the long Easter weekend. And also all things Arsenal and football related at the end of the show, as always. We kick on, as always, and we get to the 2-1 loss at home. Goals by Leandro Trossard and Mwepu for Brighton. And Martin Odegaard got an 8 consolation for ourselves. Very disappointing performance after the Monday night defeat. I thought we would have came out all guns blazing, but a pathetic first half. I thought Martinelli's goal should have stood. When you look back on the VAR, I've watched it a dozen times now, and Cucurella was actually keeping him onside on the line. I think in my opinion it should have been given. We were robbed there, and I think if it was 1-1 at half time, I think we would have kicked on the second half and gone on to win it, in my opinion. Aside from Brighton's 2 goals, which was poor marking on both, after really Lokanga had a long range effort that went just wide. Odegaard had his free kick saved by Sanchez, and then Nketiah somehow hit it off the crossbar. I thought that was going to be a dead bang goal, but it wasn't. Then Odegaard had his shot deflected out Welbeck, which looped over Sanchez, and then Suarez sent in a great cross for Nketiah, but that was brilliantly saved by Sanchez. Disappointing, because I thought we would have got at least 9 points out of Palace, Brighton and Southampton, and it looks like we're probably only going to get 3 points, all going well against Southampton away on Saturday. So definitely 3. I'm for the eternal optimist.
God bless us all.
If we don't get anything against Southampton, which we're going to move on to, of course, after this Brighton game, and with Chelsea and United coming up after, I think we can kiss goodbye to 4 probably. I think the momentum's with Spurs, in my opinion. I think it's probably gone now. Yeah. But definitely a very poor performance on Saturday after the Monday night defeat, as I said earlier on. So I'll come to Eamon, since you weren't on the show last week. Eamon, what was your take on that game?
Well, I was over at the game, so I probably saw it from a
different perspective.
I was in the front row of the North Bank upper, so I had a great view. You see things differently at the game. So the first thing I'll say is that the last 2 games have proven that we cannot be missing our 2 first choice fullbacks. Okay,
100%,
because when we do, our centre half start doing different things to compensate, right? And I'll come back to that in a second. I think Cedric has done well. No fault there, but I think when you're missing Tierney and Tomiyasu, it changes a lot. As you know, I'm a great supporter of the manager, but I put this defeat down to him because he picked our top midfield player available to play a left full back. And people can give out all they like about Granit Xhaka, but he's 90 touches a game when he's in midfield, right? And the way he's been playing this season, his best outlet for us is getting the ball on the halfway line and getting it to the guys who do play. And that's Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, right? I felt a bit sorry for Lokonga because at times he was almost deeper than the centre half, looking to come in and get the ball. That's not his game, right? And he was left on his own because it's clear to me Emil Smith Rowe is not a central midfielder, okay, and never will be. He's a guy who plays in an offensive position, and if you get the ball to him from a good midfield foundation and base, he'll do damage. So the only way I can see a way forward out of this malaise with the fullbacks, if Tomiyasu becomes fit, it changes things a little bit because you have a better option. But other than that, it's either play Bukayo Saka, a left fullback, right, where he can overlap, or you play Tavares there. No messing around playing with Granit Xhaka there, and he has to be in the middle of the pitch. Simple as that. Because, as I said, Smith Rowe is not a midfielder, and nor is Odegaard, right? They are offensive players who need to be given the ball by guys who come and receive the ball. Okay, so you need to get the ball to those guys. The one thing I want to do though is I want to compliment the crowd. They didn't turn on the team. They didn't turn on the manager. None of that old nonsense. They stood behind the team. And when we did get a bit of a show on the road in the last 8 minutes, the place was kicking actually, you know. And if it had gone on another 2 or 3 minutes, we would have equalised. Brighton were gone, right? But it all came too late. And I put that down to the manager's tinkering with the team. I think he could have picked a different selection. And I think the real loss was not having Granit Xhaka in midfield. It was a terrible loss. On the Martinelli goal, Jonathan, I actually haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was watching it back there, and it does look
no,
like.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't be in a position to argue with you. But I would say this.
It was definitely 100%.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be in a position to argue because I haven't seen it.
And John admits it there as well.
Hold on, would you let me finish? Would you let me finish? You asked me on the show.
I love it.
You know, well, let me just make a point. If it takes 4 minutes,
that's the issue,
to decide, well, then it's a goal.
Yeah.
It's not. If it takes 4 minutes to try and extract a clear and obvious error, it's a goal. Right?
It's ridiculous.
The other thing was, we got no view of it in the stadium. None. So we were there for 4 minutes coming up to half time with nothing on the screen. It was back to the darkest days of VAR, and it was a Barlow moment. It was so frustrating. I mean, be sitting there in the stadium, not knowing, going in at half time, you're thinking 1-1. I agree with you. I think we'd have come out in the second half a different side. The other thing, the last thing I'd say is I'm done with Lacazette doing great work and going down towards the left full back and, you know, really trying and all that. Eddie Nketiah has to start. He's more dangerous. And I know he missed a chance and he hit the bar and he's more dangerous. He's getting into better positions. He's our only hope of getting a goal from a centre forward position. Lacazette will not score a goal from a centre forward position, and the reason for that is he's never in one. You know, so that was my take on the game. Very, very disappointing. But just so as people know, haven't been there. If we'd have been there 3 years ago, the team would have been booed off the pitch. But that's not the way at Arsenal this year. the crowd were still behind the team at the end. And at least that was some positive to take in a day of not any positives.
Who stood out for you, Eamon, for the Irish on Saturday?
Gunnosaurus.
It was
He
that
did.
bad.
He stood out in the middle of the pitch. No, who stood out for me on the day?
I thought Odegaard came.
No, Odegaard was terrible. He was
I
terrible.
thought
But
late
Kyle
on.
Saka
So
was terrible. But Kyle Saka looked like a guy running out of gas.
he looked tired, didn't he?
Martinelli was terrible. But you see, the problem, Jonathan, is they're good players. If the ball is given to them early, when the game is situated in a certain way, they can cause damage. The one other point I forgot to make was, and here's what definitely was so frustrating that it was. I actually started counting Gabriel's touches on the ball, right? And he was regularly taking 7 and 8 touches on the ball, right? Most likely because there wasn't a whole lot of movement in front of him. Most likely because Granit Xhaka wasn't making himself available because he wasn't in the middle of the pitch, and all that. And all that does is it just slows everything down, and Brighton could just pick us off the way they wanted to. And the other thing I'd say about, you say bad marking for the goal. When your team is out of shape and you don't pick the right formation and you put square pegs in round holes, that's what happens.
That was really Brighton's only 2 chances, really, wasn't it?
They had one other chance, I think, that they had a shot that crept wide. They'd only 3 efforts in the game, you know.
Yeah, I think we probably deserved a draw. Being that, didn't deserve a win, but I think a draw would have been probably. But sadly, 2-1 again. 2-1 at home is just pretty annoying, especially with our good home form this season. John, how did you see the game?
Well, I'll start with the Martinelli goal. We saw the replays. 4 minutes is ridiculous, completely ridiculous, but most of that time was spent checking to see Dick Gabriel head it back over. Didn't come off the defender. If he came off the defender, he was onside. It looked offside to me, so we'll put that to bed. Eamon's right. When I seen the formation, I was really disappointed. I really hoped Arteta wouldn't fall into that trap of putting Xhaka at left back again. He's tried it before, and it didn't work. And as Eamon said, you're already weak at fullback. You don't want to weaken the midfield anymore than it already was with Partey missing. So that was a huge mistake. In the build-up to the game, I was really hoping we'd play with the 3 centre-halves and wing-backs. If you have any doubts about Tavares as a defensive force, you could easily play him as a wing-back and tell him push forward. We've seen him doing it before, physical, fast, and he can cause havoc if you can just give him free rein to go up and down. And I think with the 3 centre-halves, that might have given him a little more protection that way. Would have left Xhaka and Lokonga in midfield, and then he could have picked 3 up ones. Martin spoke last week about being scouted, especially against Palace, and Lacazette is being isolated. He's not in the game. He's not providing any. When you're that isolated, you need to be running between the fullbacks, beyond the fullback, the centre halves. But he's doing nothing. I agree with Eamon. It's time to shake that up. And Eddie was really poured away when he came on against Villa, but against Palace and against Brighton, he gave us something else. He gave us pace. He gave the centre halves headaches. He gave them the movement. They couldn't track him. He was very unlucky with that header. It brought off a fantastic save from the Brighton keeper. And he's definitely something that would shake things up a little bit. Teams wouldn't be expecting us to pick him. They haven't scouted him. And it would definitely be an option. It's a perfect storm at the moment. Losing both fullbacks. Cedric's done all right since he came in. Partey's a big miss. Saka hasn't been the same since COVID. Smith Rowe hasn't been the same since he came back from injury. And the very down to the bare bones of this very small squad is hurting us now. We thought this would happen after the January window closed. We hoped it wouldn't. But it's a perfect storm. I was really disappointed with the team selection. You can't take Xhaka out of that midfield. You just can't do it. Made it way too easy for Brighton. And the 2 lads, as Eamon said, they're not midfielders, but they didn't track back for either goal. And if anyone, it was Lacazette who was tracking back for the second. and he went into the box. If he's hung around at the edge of the box, he would have been able to put out that second goal. But you can't take away from that finish. It was a quality finish. It's really, really disappointing. But I think the manager seriously has to look at the squad he's got, the small selection of players he's got, and find a better solution to what he came up with on Saturday.
Who stood out for you, John?
The substitutions. I mean, it wasn't until the last 10, 15 minutes of the game we started to press them. I mean, I was reading the stat there. The first half hour of the second half, we had 4 shots. The last 10 minutes in injury time, we had over 10.
Yeah.
It was that period of time, and that was when Eddie came on. It was when Pepe came on, because Martinelli again, he struggled in the game. So it was the 2 substitutions. They brought a little bit of something to the game that we didn't have, which was urgency. I've said it all season. You've got to match the intensity at the very least of the opposition, and we had none from the kickoff. It was so slow. It was crazy.
After the defeat to Palace on Monday, John, was at 9, wasn't it?
It was just so easy to break. As I said, I hope Arteta comes up with a real different look at this, different plan. He has to get shot.
Yeah. And that's 4 points Brighton took off us this season, because of course we drew 0-0 at the Amex back in October. And
in fairness, Johnny, we've only won 3 of the last 10 against Brighton.
Yeah, they're a tough nut to crack under Graham Potter. They're very good.
He's a good coach. He has a good record against us.
Yeah, he is a very good coach. Goes very under the radar, doesn't he?
Yeah, so it's
he puts his teams out very well, you know. And I think teams underestimate how good Brighton can be when they get at you. That's when they get very few chances in a match, John.
If you give them a hand like we did, that's what happens.
When you make it so easy for them.
Yeah,
and that's what we did on Saturday.
I agree with Eamon. The fullback position were really lacking with Tierney and Tomiyasu. Were really being found out in the last couple of games, definitely. And it's going to be a worry with Tierney out probably for the season now. And I don't know how long Tomiyasu is. And by the time he gets up to speed, is his season probably gone as well? You know, so it's a bit of a worry. Martin, what did you make of the game on Saturday against Brighton?
What can you say? Like the most annoying part about this game is because you're watching it on either a stream or whatever, and you're already 2 minutes behind, so you get like the notifications on your phone, so you know what's going to happen. It frustrates you even more. But look, that's beside the point. It wasn't a great performance, 100%. But as John and Eamon said, it's definitely. We were talking about after the Palace defeat. They said, like, you know, it really depends on what kind of lineup we're going to bring in, and I really thought he would go with Saka at the left, and have why with Partey gone, why would you take your other midfielder out as well and completely destroy it? And he did try that before, and it didn't work. Xhaka is just not quick enough, like, to do it, you know, like, and he's the only point in midfield who can actually put the ball forward. And we've seen it against Palace when Partey, which I think already had like trouble or had a knock, and he wasn't. Even in the Palace game, I don't think it was the same as he was before. And we said, like, when Partey and Odegaard not performing, then we can't go anything forward. And then you take the other fella out as well, and then you have Lokonga in, which then has to get balls. It just didn't work. It just was a mess, like, from the start. And look, it's just terrible. Coming back to the Martinelli goal, it was definitely offside because you have to be behind 2 players, the goalkeeper and a defender or another opposition player. So the problem what I have is it shouldn't take 4 minutes, because, as they always say, VAR should only intervene when it's a clear and obvious fault of the referee. In rugby, the referee is asking, this is my decision, can you say anything else besides thing for? And if that takes too long, it's the ruling on the field stands, and that's exactly what that should have happened as well. If it takes that long, it shouldn't be thing. It was offside, that's 100%, but it took ages to go there, and it just shouldn't have. After 4 minutes, they shouldn't. If this can't be clear and obvious, if it takes 4 minutes to do with them stupid lines, it just doesn't. So, but look, it happened. If it would have been 1-1, it would have been a better game probably in the second half. He would have had a better chance. And yeah, like I said, what can you say? You can't defend him anymore. And Eddie, as much as he's not the best striker either, but he did bring a lot of stuff into it, and he created chances. And if you look at our stats, and if Eric would hear, he would be up backing me up with the XG. We had 2.7 XG on our 20 chances we had on goal, and we should have scored at least 3 goals, and we didn't, because like all our chances came in the last 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's just not enough. And if you want to be in the top 4, that's the games you have to win. If you want to be in the top 4 is another thing. Of course, every of our fan base wants to have that. Now that we can smell it, that we can see the Champions League is there, everyone wants to go and be in top 4. Is it too early? We don't know. Look, the season is not finished. We could still come out thinking like mad things happen in this league. We just don't know what's happening. But it'd be interesting what he's going to come up with against Southampton, because that's not going to be an easy game either. I know they got destroyed against Chelsea, so they have the bounce back ability, as some people call that. But yeah, like we seem to be giving teams that are on the ground a leg up. We did it against Everton. We did it against Brighton now. We did it in some ways where Crystal Palace had a bit of better form. But I mean, Brighton didn't score for 6 games. They had like 1 draw, 5 defeats, and we just seem to be, that's grand. Like, I don't know if it's like the players, but I really think it has something to do with the way we were lining up. Look, it's not easy. I can totally understand that with the 2 left backs and right back out and midfield gone. But I think even if you played holding in the middle and have, like, as you said, Tavares gone. I mean, people are saying that, and I get a lot of stuff on WhatsApp and on social media. Oh, if you would have bought a striker, it would have been different. Probably we might have scored a lot of goals, but we bought backups for the left and right. We bought Tavares. We bought Tomiyasu for backing up Cedric, for instance, or whatever. We bought Lokonga to back up Partey when he's out. What else should we have done? By another 3 players? Like a striker alone wouldn't have done in that game either. So it is. Look. Hindsight is always a great thing for it, like, and hopefully like we bounce back now against Southampton and we do something. But yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? But it's kind of like, and as Eamon said, the fans in the stadium, I'm sure the atmosphere was good. But what I see something on social media is just going bananas. Like, it really is, like, but unfortunately, that's football. That's the fan base we have in some ways, Then people never go to a stadium probably. And it's just laughable in some ways. But look, we probably should have got a draw. Would have been fair. I don't know if you call it a fair result. The way we played probably wasn't a fair result. But hopefully we see Eddie starting, because even Pepe, I don't know, something different, because we don't see anything from our striker, and that's just not.
And it's a worry. Yeah,
it's definitely a worry, because I don't know who said it. Like, what happens if Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Saka not scoring anymore, because they were the ones that scored. And if you don't give them the ball because you're destroying your midfield, then they're not going to score either. So it's a conundrum. But yeah, like I think it's up on Arteta's. I don't think that because of that one game, he should go or whatever it is. There's a project there. But yeah, like, it wasn't the best decision what he made.
No, it wasn't. Did anyone stand out for you, Martin, at all? This caught your eye on Saturday? I know there was very.
There's very little. I mean, even if you look at the reviews on the players when they got scored, like, I think nobody went over 5.
Yeah, again, yeah.
Probably for me, Nketiah, when he came on, I think
it was brilliant when he came on.
And he has a few games now. We actually came on, and actually, when Pepe scored, like, that was Nketiah's doing, when we came back from the dead. So yeah, I think he deserves a thing. The problem is, like, he deserves, and he's probably going to go in the summer. But look, that's what you have to do. Like, you have to perform.
Look, stop worrying about the summer. Like,
it's all about the next. 8 games. Don't worry about the summer.
People call it a project, but I think the plan. I don't like this thing about a project. I don't like my club being.
I don't even think it's a project. Yeah.
But then with the plan was obvious, right? Get out the dead wood. Yeah. Get on an upwards trajectory. I actually don't think the club banked on being in the Champions League next year.
No,
it just so happened.
That's what I said to a lot of people.
It so happened that they're trying past everybody else's out. And we landed in a position. But I think the trajectory was always about getting into the top 6. And I'm not lowering their expectation. and then to sign another 3 or 4 players in the summer, having got rid of what we needed to get rid of, right, and make us really, really high-end competitive. And that's still the case. So if Eddie is going in the summer, he's going in the summer. That's fine, right? But I'm just saying, for the last 8 games now, it's obvious to me that he is more of a goal threat than Lacazette.
Yeah.
Right? Pepe, I agree.
Yeah.
He'd be another option that if you had to bring B, as they call him, Bukayo Saka, to play as a kind of a left-sided defender, you have Pepe who can do our job, right?
Exactly.
But the one thing you can't do is take a player out of the middle of the pitch who gives the players that can cause offence the ball. Simple as, you know?
Yes. Yeah, attacking the middle was lacked, all right, yeah. On Saturday, I do agree with that, Eamon.
Even Ben White would be an option at fullback, and you could flip Cedric over to the other side. But the one option, I know I see John making a bit of a face of that, and I probably agree with you. But it's still better
He's versatile, though. Yeah,
Still
he's
better than having
versatile.
Xhaka there, yeah.
That's why there was loads of options where he could have played like beside Xhaka, and you know, like we had like all this thing, like people are putting up the 11 what they would start, you know, as I said, with Holding in the middle, White and Gabriel and 2 wing back, whatever. There was loads of options there, but I thought, and it is what I can't understand. He tried it before and it didn't work. He destroyed the midfield and he didn't put anybody in who is actually a proper left back. If it's somebody who is a proper left back, I can understand it, but he's not. He's too slow for that.
I'll tell you what I can't understand even more, colleagues, right? Is the fact that if Thomas Partey was fit and he did it, you'd say, well, okay, we've still got something in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd say Partey and Lokonga, you know, will be in the middle of the pitch. But Lokonga on his own, if you saw the shape of the game from where I was looking at it, you could see there was Lokonga and like a gap the size of the Suez Canal behind him as he moved to receive the ball.
Yeah.
So even when he does receive it, he's going to give it back to one of the centre halves.
Yeah.
Gabriel.
There was nothing there in the middle with him.
See Gabriel, actually, in fairness to him, you could see Gabriel taking 7 or 8 touches, kind of gesticulating the players. Will you come into the space that I'm looking for? You know?
Yeah. And what I'm actually worried about is, and more worried about, like, as the result as well, is kind of like, I don't know what happened with Tavares. Why? Like, I mean, you bought a left back exactly for that reason to think, and he had quite a good first game when he played preseason and whatever, and it looked quite promising. Then he had a bad game where he was taken off like after 20 minutes and Tierney was put on. So that kind of like already kind of destroyed him. Then taken off against Crystal Palace off and then not even put on. What I'm worried about is like, what does that do to the confidence? And as well to Lokonga, he got really bad marks in the player rating. So you throw a young fella in like that, you know, who's actually, well, he's playing for Belgium, like, you know, so it's not like that he's not a finished article or whatever, but he's not at that level yet. But if you throw him into games like that and he plays completely out of shape, it's going to destroy his confidence either. And we're not going to gain anything out of that at all. So, yeah, it was just a complete disaster in the way this place was set up. And it's just worrying about, like, say, what's going to happen with Tavares.
But no disrespect to Brighton, right?
No.
Well, we played into their hand. Like, if we'd have played Tavares at left full, right? They didn't have a right winger like Zaha or that was going to torch him in the way that he was torched in the 2 away games.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've got to say, well, we bought that guy, right? And
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I remember talking to the supporters when I was over in the Newcastle game, which was at the end of November, and the supporters were saying, "Yeah, he's a bit defunct defensively. That'll come, but we love him. He causes so much carnage going forward."
Yeah.
Well, we're at home against Brighton.
That's what I couldn't understand it. Why?
You know.
Totally.
It was, yeah. So Brighton took their goals well, and Odegaard's late goal was just too little, too late because we did pile on the pressure in the last 10 odd minutes. But we should have been doing that from the very start. You know, we shouldn't have to wait till we're 1 or 2 behind to especially at home. You know, so
Can I ask you a question that the 4 of us should answer together? What would Barlow say?
So frustrating.
It was actually. It's not even frustrating. It's just like
It's just annoying.
It's just
have
annoying,
such a
like
good
and
march and then to come with two
yeah.
back-to-back feeds
The
now.
best part about it is, and I'll leave it at this because I know I'm like
Yeah.
I'm like a broken spring, right? But like, I wouldn't say that the King's Head on the Blackstock Road is the bastion of all things football knowledge. But Jesus, it's populated by people who go to the games every week, so they have a bit of a clue. And
Yeah.
the common chorus before the game was, "Don't do what we did.
Yeah.
Don't pick the thing." You know, that was the common chorus. I was astounded when I saw the lineup. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was baffling, to be honest. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that result on Saturday leaves us fifth now, with 54 points. Still with two games at hand, and they are
One game.
Spurs and Chelsea. Spurs occupy fourth at the moment on 57 points. Goal difference could be a big thing as well.
Yeah.
Plus 19 for Spurs and plus 9 for ourselves. So that game on Thursday, May the 12th, is beginning to look like even a bigger game than most times when we play the Scum. But I just can't see forward now after those last two performances, in my opinion. That brings us on to this Saturday's 3 o'clock kickoff away to Southampton. It's live on Premiersports 2. The last time we played Southampton was back on December the 11th at home. I was at that game, actually. Gabriel, Odegaard and Lacazette scored the goals. Southampton, of course, lost 6-0 to Chelsea at home at the weekend. They're pretty much safe from relegation. It looks like another season for them next season in the Premier League. That this now really is a big game to win, because if we get nothing here, I think you can all but throw your chances if Spurs win on Saturday, or is it Sunday? I think it's probably Sunday they're playing. I'll go to John. A must-win game Saturday, isn't it?
Oh,
It
yeah.
has to be.
If for their top four chances, definitely. And Southampton, as you said, just got trounced at home by Chelsea, and they're going to be sitting on that for a week, wanted to respond, give that fans thing, and who's better than a struggling Arsenal team? It really depends. It really depends on the team he picks. He cannot make the same mistake again. And I'm not making any point of predictions because we have to see when the team he puts out.
Yeah.
It really depends on the team he puts out. As I said, I think Smith Rowe, he struggled since he came back into the side.
Yeah.
Saka still looks like he's suffering from the after effects of COVID. So the team, there's room to jiggle. There's room to reorganise that team. It's just a case will Arteta do. And then obviously, even if he does, there's no guarantee it'll click. It's a big game for the top four. Hopes it really is. I can't predict because I have no idea what kind of team he's going to put. It's very difficult to predict.
Yeah, it's one of those games where we need to bounce back, and Southampton will definitely bounce back being home. So
well, they'll want it. They'll want it. This is the thing,
Yeah.
So
Hassan Hustle is. We have our very own Hassan Hudl here.
Yeah.
Which
he got very bad press in Austria for that, to be honest with you. He has this. I tell you what, he has Hasenhüttl now in Austria. He has the reputation of being a good manager, but he gets some massive beatings. Like he got beaten 8-1, I think. He got beaten 6-0 again now, 6-0, and so he has this reputation well, which is kind of like very strange because I don't know what it is, but like, look, that's the reputation is in Austria. I don't care about Austria. Like it's what they're gonna play again on Saturday, like, and who we gonna bring on. Like regards Tomiyasu, like everything seems to be that he's gonna come back to training after the Southampton game, so he's not gonna be back. And even if he is back, he's gonna be against the games against West Ham, Chelsea, United, so they're not the easiest games to get into. But let's see. Hopefully, he's light training now, but in full training after the Southampton game. That's what it looks like. But we'll see what's going on there. But prediction wise, I'm afraid of saying anything or whatever. Like obviously, I'm hoping that they can beat them. But look, at that stage, I'd probably take a point as well. I just don't want to have another defeat. I can't take that. I don't think, especially around Easter. Maybe get a miracle. You never know. Coming back from the dead, somebody did. Let's hope we can get something back.
I can see. I don't want to go myself with a 2-0. I think we will respond on Saturday. Because I think it'll be the conviction has to be there now after back-to-back defeats. We have to go out, because if we don't, we know that forward could all be gone from us. And after holding that position for the last month and a bit, it will be very disappointing to go out with a whimper. But there's still 8 games to go, so there's 24 points there to be played. Eamon, how do you see the game going Saturday?
I'm normally less optimistic than Nostradamus, but what I'd say to you is this.
It's a must-win game, Eamon.
The one thing that we have learned about Mickey, right? He's no mug, and he'll know that he picked him. So the one thing I know, John, we can't predict the outcome of the game, but that won't be the same lineup. You can rest assured he will not go with that again.
He can't.
Right? I also think that Southampton are in a bit of a funk at the moment. Right?
Same as that,
They beat Tottenham, 6 weeks ago or whatever, and they look good. I think they've fallen off, right?
Big time, yeah.
And I think that the fact that we're no longer in the box seat might actually help, And I'm fully expecting us to cave in. No, I'm fully expecting us to I'm fully expecting us to try and. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know what the outcome of the game's going to be, but I'm fully expecting us to try and get on the front foot in midfield and give the game a real go. And if we do that, we have a chance in every game except for the big 2.
Yeah. And the good thing is, we got actually help from United and West Ham. Maybe not for top 4, but at least for European football, I think we should be all right. But anyway, this is a game we should get a result out of anyway.
You're going to be at the game, Martin. So in your pinstripe suit in disguise, and you're going to make sure that everything's. I'm
going to make a few calls and say, "Look, you're safe. That's it."
And you're going to play the heavy metal football that Jurgen Klopp keeps raving on about. I think the only good thing we have going into the Southampton game, as I said earlier, is that they're pretty much safe and they're only playing for pride for the last 3 home games they've left in the season. But it's always a difficult game, and especially when you've got James Ward-Prowse as well. You know, as a set piece taker as well. You don't give him that chance neither, because 9 times out of 10 he'll bury it. I think when you get at Southampton though, their backline is pretty dodgy enough. And they can leak goals, and when they leak goals, they leak them pretty bad when they go 1 or 2 down. So that's.
But that's what Chelsea did, isn't it?
Chelsea came out all gun blazing, didn't they? After their back-to-back defeats, that's why you'd be hoping from us, Martin, isn't it, to go out and get the early goal, because the first goal is going to be.
You can only do that if you have a midfield that gets the ball to the players who are going to hurt the opposition, and I think he'll do that. To be honest with you.
How do you see it actually, Eamon? Here's an interesting one. How do you see the setup? Who do you think he'll go with in midfield and up front? Do you think he'll start with 2 up front, or? No,
I don't think he'll start with 2 up front.
Who do you think our midfield will be? Do you think he'll put Saka back in?
I have a sneaky feeling he'll either do one of 2 things. He'll either go 3 at the back with either Martinelli and Saka, right? Okay. Or he'll just stay with his central 2, right? I don't think he'll risk Tavares in an away game, right? Yeah. I think if we were playing at home against Southampton, he might swallow what he did last week and do that. I think Pepe on the right and Saka on the left, it wouldn't be my preferred option, but I think he might do that because I think he trusts Saka to be able to do the stuff down the left-hand side, because Saka's a worldie, wouldn't be too intimidated. But the one thing he won't do is what he did last Saturday. That's for sure. Do
you think if there's any danger he'll give El Neni a game in midfield?
It's possible, John. It's possible. I mean, look, you know, I'm sick of looking at it and then he, you know,
Yeah, I
running
know.
around.
Yeah,
But at the
I'm
same
not scared
time,
of that.
at least
Yeah.
he knows how to get the ball to other players who can play. You know, so yeah, I actually wouldn't be as down at heel about that. In fact, here's an interesting thing. We were talking in the pub both before and after the game on Saturday, with some of the season ticket holders and that, you know, and they were totally behind what Arteta's doing in terms of people say, oh, well, he thinned out the squad too much. And they said the only guy you could really make an argument for would be if Ainsley Maitland-Niles was still knocking about the place. Because you could play him at right full, or you could play him at left full, or you could, you know, look, he was obviously on a promise that if he didn't make the breakthrough by Christmas, he was gone. And look, we honoured that, you know.
I have no problems with what he did on January, none whatsoever.
No.
This was always the danger. This was always the
And
danger.
exactly, and I think what you said, Eamon, what you said, Eamon, before is like, I don't think that was ever like when they were at this when they had a conversation in January what they're gonna do. We were obviously we can be top 4, but I don't think that they said like we can risk it. You know, like say if it comes up, you know, we have nothing, then fair enough, we got 4th. But I don't think it was their priority to come top 4, and that's why they didn't buy anybody. And that's
sure,
what
we're not signing Vlahovic.
Yeah.
Since Eamon kept raving on about him all
Do
January.
you know what he could do? He could play Lacazette left full because he's spending most of his time there. You know?
The worrying thing is goals, lads, isn't it? Like we're not scoring not lately. You know, it's about 3-2 every game since really January. You know, and that's sending Aubameyang. It's just a pity we didn't fill that void. You know, for trying to. We threw our other eggs in one basket.
With who, Jonathan? With who?
We needed a top striker. You know.
Okay, so Aubameyang was behaving like a spoiled.
Look what he's doing with Barcelona now.
Hold on now. You have to make it a point now. You have to dig in a hole for yourself.
No,
let me respond. You have to dig in a hole. Aubameyang was behaving like a toxic little child, as he has done at other clubs. All right, now hold on. Who are you going to replace him with, Jonathan?
I'd take Harry Kane, no problem.
Harry Kane, you tell me. Okay. All right. Good night, folks, and enjoy the show. And
catch Eamon on Spotify on the solo show. It's just so annoying that how well Aubameyang.
It is, but like the problem is,
you wonder what was going on in the camp between him and Arteta, wouldn't you? When you see how well he's actually enjoying his football.
But I hear that. So like, what
he
would
wants to go, Johnny?
Did he?
What do you
he
think?
wants to be?
who?
Aubameyang.
Aubameyang didn't try a leg all season.
Exactly. I'm with you on this, Eamon.
No, but this is what annoys me. What people saying about like Aubameyang. If Aubameyang would have stayed, do you think he would have actually played?
I think he would have. Yeah.
Why?
The way we're playing at, like.
If you don't want to play as a player,
like I said, isn't the answer. We all see that now. His legs are gone.
We know that.
You know,
but like people are saying, like he's going to Barcelona.
But look how the
season 10 goals.
is. Let's hope the season doesn't teeter out, and we don't even finish at all in Europe. You know, because any more bad performance against Chelsea United, and the last 8 games aren't.
West Ham are not going to win all their games, folks. Like I mean, let's get real here. Right, we will be in the.
But that's away from home as well, Eamon. You know, that can be intimidating as well.
No, we had Wolves away from home and we won. Look, you know,
it's just the nerves are starting now after back-to-back defeats, isn't it? Like we've had such a good March. I think the pressure of being in fourth might have got to the lads. You know.
No, it's the injuries we have, and that's the thing. For what I'm saying is, even if we would have got a replacement for Aubameyang. That wouldn't have been the answer for what we have now. We bought replacements for what happened.
Martin, I'll correct you there slightly. It would have been if there had been one available. However,
do you think we could have got Vlahovic?
You know, Jonathan seems to think
why would you get players who don't want to play?
When Vlahovic himself made it absolutely clear he wasn't coming to us. So we'd want to
I
get
think
over
it
that
was-
one, you know.
I think it was John Mean who said that was
Did
nearly
you ever go to
100%.
discos when you were a kid and she's playing up the same person?
Yeah, and you can see why I'm single now. I threw my eggs in the one
Well, there
basket.
you go. I mean,
So frustrating, Jersey.
I'll tell you what now.
And her
Far from me
name
to give a
was Jersey.
societal commentary on this show, but I mean, I think you have something there, you know.
That's great advice,
God.
yeah. He sorted my love life and my arsenal views in one sentence.
Oh, Jesus.
You can sum up your love life and your life with Arsenal as well on the show.
Yeah.
But not back down to reality. No, it's going to be a big. The last 8 games are going to be massive now, really. Southampton, United, Chelsea, West Ham, Leeds, Newcastle, Spurs, and Everton.
It's just as well we're safe from relegation, Jonathan, listening to you.
I've never.
Just-
There's still good 30 point gap. Burnley might still catch us.
Newcastle are on a roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind you, John, I did have a sneaky little look at the table.
Actually, even at the start of the show. We didn't.
Just-
I don't think we
Just to
thought-
be sure, to be sure.
I don't think we thought we'd be in the hunt for fourth, as you said earlier on. And as you said, it just happens that we're up there. Maybe surprise ourselves, maybe.
Yeah, look, if it comes, I take it. There's no doubt about
Yeah.
it. But like,
Yeah.
I didn't speculate about this before
Yeah.
the season.
After the first
After 3 games, I didn't hope we didn't get relegated. But so, like, I didn't put my hopes there, and like that we are there is a miracle itself. Like, with a squad like it was completely rebuilt with the young fellas we play. So, and the problem is once you feel it, once you see it, it's like my boss tells me, look, you can get 10 grand, and then in the end you only get 5 grand. You're disappointed, but you got 5 grand for it. That's kind of like, that's what you have to look at it. We hopefully it'll be better what we did last year, and that's the way you have to look at it. And then rebuild, buy more players. The only problem is if you're not Champions League, you might not get the same caliber of player what you would get. But I think we still can get decent enough players. There's no doubt about
We're
it.
getting ahead of ourselves.
And
Yeah,
Arteta
exactly,
did
yeah.
say, I was looking at the
Especially
summer
after playing the
papers.
game on Saturday. Come on,
Arteta
Exactly.
said he is going to go out in the summer
ahead of
and
ourselves.
buy.
That's what he said in his interview. He wants
Yeah.
25 players, 22
Yeah.
outfield players, and 3 goalkeepers. So
all
we
fighting
have
for.
to have like a plan to actually achieve that, because we might have a more outgoings what we have. So he has to buy, and the summer is going to start very early, and hopefully we can get the players what he did last summer. So that's just the hope for it, And I think the owners are backing them. There's no doubt that they're going to put money into it, 100%. There is definitely the back and forth. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, well, what are they giving us? But they did last summer, and they will do it again this summer.
Yeah, they believe. The owners believe in Arteta.
Yeah.
I suppose we get down because we've had such a good season. Even though after the first 3 games, as you said, it looked like it was disaster. It looked like Arteta could have been on his way out, but there's still a lot of dead wood there, isn't there? Like, there's still a lot of players that you'd like to see gone.
Not that many.
I don't know. It's just.
If you look at Lacazette, El Neni,
Do you know what the worry was there on Saturday, lads? It was looking at the bench. There was very
but
little.
we just have like a starting 11 really, and 2 or 3 options. That's all we have.
No.
Yeah.
Get over it. It's like I said earlier. It's a perfect storm of injuries. Players coming back.
No, when you talk about dead wood, like maybe I don't like putting Lacazette in the dead wood because he does. He has given us a lot.
He has. He's given.
But he's on his way out. He's gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
Right?
I think
He's
all
on his
say
way
he's
out.
gone
He's
now.
gone.
Yeah.
Right? El Neni is going to be gone.
Thank God.
The squad, the rest of the squad won't be gone. Leno, but we're going to have to replace him.
Gone. Yeah.
Talking about Leno, like there was an interview with a German newspaper, and he said everybody thinks I'm going back to Germany. I love London.
Did he
I'll
say
live
that?
there. That's my home. He said that. He said everybody expect me to think. He said he was given an interview and said, like, this is football. That's what happened. Like, I had 3 results. They were bad. I conceded 9 goals or whatever. And then Ramsdale came in. He replaced me. He got the results. That's what happens. Do you like it? No, you don't. But that's what it is. Does it mean he's going to be at Arsenal next year? that's not an insurance, but he might stay around in the team. I don't know, but it was actually quite a refreshing interview what he gave, like, like in a bit quite honest what he said. But look, I couldn't have a better replacement goalkeeper as Leno. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're going to be very hard to get unless you're going to get somebody who wants to play football. I don't know, like, who else? I know we have the American fella who's coming in as well, which is, by the way, is injured. So, but like, look, there will be a few people. There's a few outgoings, but he's going to buy more players, and we're going to get probably the deadwood. What we have is the ones already on loan. So like
looks like they're gone,
your Mari and your Ting is going to be sold anyway. Guendouzi. Be interesting what happens with Saliba if he comes back or not. We had that last week when we said it. But yeah, there's a few. Torreira, that's kind of like an option. Does Xhaka gonna go to Rome? We don't know. But you have to replace him this time, And look, there's a few good options out there for us to buy. So I don't think we have to break the bank for it. Maybe for one or two players.
Have a busy summer, no matter what happens.
Oh, well, 100%. Like, and a good thing, it's not going to be interrupted by anything. It's not going to be Euros. It's not be World Cup. So there's actually time to get players in, unless we leave it again till the last minute. But unfortunately, that's the way transfer windows work. But I think we can get like a good preseason, and we just have to do the business. But look, the season is not finished yet. We have still 8 games to go. We don't know what's going to happen, and let's see what's going on. I don't know.
Well, let's see what we can do on Saturday, eh?
Yeah,
it's a big one. Yeah, it's a huge game Saturday, and it's a game at a time, lads. The way it's gone the last 2 games, let's not get carried away, I suppose. In terms of the loan watch, I know Balogun had a good game, and Maitland-Niles has played pretty well as well for Rome. I think the others, Guendouzi, Torreira, and Murray, are probably on their way out. So, best of luck to them. Is there anything else Arsenal related or football related, lads, you'd like mentioned?
No, I think we're done. That's an hour. Yeah.
Exactly. Just from my side, I mean, I know we did the women last week, but Arsenal have on Easter Sunday the semi-final against Chelsea, which is going to be a massive game. Like the top 2 teams in the league going to fight it out who's going to be in the FA Cup final. So that's going to be, I think it's a 12 o'clock kickoff. I'm not quite sure. 12:30 at home in Meadow Park. So should be a good game. It's on Easter Sunday. If you have nothing else to do on Easter Sunday, I think you can catch the match on faplayer.co.uk. So yeah, that's basically it. and the Irish women had a 1-1 draw today, so which is good as well.
That's an unbelievable result.
Yeah.
That's well done to them under Vera Pauw, is another name. Yeah, the Dutch man. Yeah, really over exceeding expectations, but really beginning to become a strong team now. It's great to see, and all recognition should be shown to them.
Good.
Of course, next week, on next week's show, we'll be reviewing our away game, on Saturday against Southampton, and previewing next Wednesday's clash against Chelsea away and Manchester United at home this Saturday. Of course, you can catch our show on SoundCloud, Spotify, and on ACAST. Play.acast.com is the link there you go to for that one. I'd like to thank my guests as always, John Mealy, Martin Stumble, and Eamon Donnelly. Thanks for your participation this week, and have a good week, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.
Cheers, Johnny. Bye, lads.
See you the weekend, lads. Bye-bye.